And Disney decided to hire the most insufferable girl boss narcissist that exists on Earth, who hates Snow White.
Movie companies are going to look at her and they're going to say box office poison. And a lot of this is due to her behavior leading up to the film's release.
The cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Rachel Zegler's raw and unexpected Instagram live outburst turned into the major turning point after the catastrophic debut of the new Snow White remake. Once celebrated as a rising star destined to inject fresh energy into a timeless classic, she suddenly found herself under intense fire from both critics and loyal fans. With theaters left nearly empty and box office numbers taking a nosedive, the initial buzz quickly shifted into genuine alarm. This alarming twist has pushed industry insiders to dive deep and search for real explanations behind the film's shocking failure rather than chalking it up to just a minor mistake in its promotional efforts.
This is Rachel Zegler, who Disney decided would be brilliant in casting because, as Rachel Zegler says, her millions of fans will line up no matter what she does to see her.
The situation escalated dramatically when Zegler hit social media, openly challenging the cherished legacy that made Snow White a timeless favorite across generations. On her live stream, she launched into a fierce critique, taking aim at critics who dismissed beloved elements of the story and fuming over the wave of negative feedback, which only sparked an even bigger storm of backlash. This fiery showdown has set the stage for a Hollywood meltdown, quickly evolving into a cautionary tale for the industry.
Look at this acting.
That at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
At first look, it seems like a classic Hollywood story. A beloved classic is given a modern twist, designed to charm today's audience with state-of-the-art visuals, bold new themes, and a dazzling cast. Yet, things took an unexpected turn, transforming what might have been a heartfelt tribute into a stark reminder of how even the most cherished legacies can be overshadowed by controversy.
I'd say that this is one of Disney's biggest regrets ever. I mean, I checked, we've discussed it before. I checked Rotten Tomatoes, and the score is even lower than the last time we talked.
At the forefront of this unfolding drama is a performer renowned for her fearless expression of opinions, ranging from critiques of the original film's tone to commentary on broader social issues. In the beginning, audiences found her candid approach refreshing and engaging, but over time, that forthrightness morphed into what many interpreted as blatant disdain. At least, that was the perception among numerous observers.
Movie companies are going to look at her and they're going to say box office poison. And a lot of this is due to her behavior leading up to the film's release.
When she dismissed the old storyline as obsolete and in dire need of a radical makeover, her Instagram Live tirade quickly evolved into a lasting emblem of the bewilderment and exasperation that had taken over the entire project. Zegler transitioned from exuding confidence about the film's potential to outright unleashing her anger on critics, even taking aim at parts of the original film that countless fans still deeply cherish.
Uniquely unlikable, but then it is actually a terrible film as well, so it's the double whammy.
Almost immediately, video clips from the live stream started to spread online, revealing her voice brimming with clear exasperation. Before the film even premiered, she had boldly declared that her vision would catapult Snow White into a vibrant new era. However, when dismal box office numbers emerged, her dramatic shift in demeanor was unmistakable. Conversations among the public quickly veered away from potential triumphs, turning instead to an intense critique of every misstep, with many arguing that her explosive performance on that live stream may have sealed the film's reputation for all the wrong reasons.
And then they couldn't put dwarfs because this is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
Right from the opening of ticket sales, it was evident just how bleak the movie's financial prospects were. Industry experts noted that early screenings were surprisingly sparse, with empty seats far exceeding expectations, and even an enormous marketing campaign, rumored to have cost a colossal amount, failed to lure in audiences. The stark contrast between the forecasted triumph and the reality of half-empty theaters has left many scrambling for answers.
The controversies surrounding Disney's Snow White remake show that we are still in the thick of the culture war.
Some pointed to the revamped storyline, which either downplayed or completely removed key romantic threads essential to the cherished 1937 classic, as the primary reason behind the backlash. Meanwhile, others argued that the star's off-screen persona starkly clashed with the fanbase's expectation for a reverent tribute to an enduring cinematic treasure.
And then Rachel Zegler plays Snow White. I think Gal plays the. I was not a child, so I don't follow that.
Among all these elements, the most explosive moment turned out to be the Instagram live session. Numerous brief clips circulating online captured Zegler clearly agitated by the way various media outlets and social media users were pinning most of the blame on her. She appeared visibly frustrated, with some observers noting that she even shot a piercing glare at the camera, as if daring anyone who disagreed with the film's updates to reveal their own old-fashioned thinking.
And Rachel Zegler, being 23 or whatever she is, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for infantata is the only global solution.
Among all these elements, the most explosive moment turned out to be the Instagram live session. Numerous brief clips circulating online captured Zegler clearly agitated by the way various media outlets and social media users were pinning most of the blame on her. She appeared visibly frustrated, with some observers noting that she even shot a piercing glare at the camera, as if daring anyone who disagreed with the film's updates to reveal their own old-fashioned thinking.
So the two stars hate each other. And then they couldn't put dwarfs.
Instead of calming things down, her outburst only intensified the fury. It fed the growing notion that her approach was steeped in arrogance. While a small, vocal group lauded her for standing her ground, a far larger majority believed she was only digging herself deeper by ridiculing a timeless story cherished by millions. Critics piled on, asserting that in several interviews, Zegler had dismissed key elements of the original tale that had once captivated Snow White fans.
This is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive. You'd think the most progressive thing would be get people jobs, and dwarfs want to work.
However, when these classic elements were dismissed as outdated, it left fans feeling sorely disconnected, longing to see at least a glimmer of the old magic preserved. The movie itself began to seem like it was caught in an identity crisis, a swirling vortex of unpopular changes and a barrage of confrontational publicity. Rumors soon started flying about extensive reshoots. Some insiders claimed these were attempts to refine the film's overall tone, while others speculated they were meant to patch up plot lines that failed to resonate with test audiences.
Golden employment opportunity for dwarves.
There's not that many scripts that come down the pike.
No, it's 7 of them.
That has, and there's 7.
Reports indicated that production costs skyrocketed, pushing the studio's break-even point to nearly unthinkable levels. Rumor had it that an already massive budget might have doubled once the enormous marketing expenses and potential rework costs were added in. Unsurprisingly, Zegler's dramatic meltdown arrived at the absolute worst possible moment, just as the studio was desperately trying to salvage what little remained of the film's reputation.
Literally no offense to anything. They were very proud to cast a Latino actress as Snow White. It makes no sense to me. You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that backward story of 7 dwarves living in a cave. What the are you doing, man?
Instead, her outburst turned into the hot topic behind viral memes and endless chatter on entertainment sites. It's crucial to highlight that the fallout wasn't caused by just one factor. While Zegler's bold take on the source material certainly stirred up controversy, the film's content itself also played a significant role in leaving audiences deeply disappointed.
They're remaking the movie, they just got rid of the dwarves, okay?
Okay, but what do they call them?
Why would they get rid of the dwarves, though?
Magical creatures.
But they have one token dwarf amongst these magical creatures.
Nostalgia wields a powerful influence, and this fresh take seemed to dilute or even replace too many of the cherished elements. For example, the dwarfs were reimagined in ways that raised doubts about whether the changes genuinely enhanced the story or simply served as symbolic gestures. Similarly, the absence of a heartfelt romantic plot left some fans feeling that the adaptation was missing the emotional depth that had once elevated the original beyond a mere cartoon.
The argument should have been from Peter Dinklage, there's power of being on TV, there's power of television, and to put 7 people with dwarfism on camera in a major Disney movie, there's still power there.
Social media amplified everything to an incredible degree. Fans began sharing photos of empty theaters on opening night, while users posted screenshots of Zegler's Instagram Live, dissecting every detail to gauge the authenticity of her emotions. This explosive meltdown completely overshadowed any redeeming qualities the film might have had, be it its captivating cinematography or its rich musical score.
If the story is offensive, change the story, don't change the characters.
Online commentary broadly saw that one live stream as clear evidence of the lead actor's annoyance with criticism and her stubborn refusal to accept that some longtime fans' opinions could actually be valid. Influential voices quickly joined the debate. Even those who usually support modern twists on classic tales were disappointed that the movie felt overly direct with its messaging, warning that it had lost the whimsical charm that is the heart of every fairy tale.
Can you tell us a little bit about your version of Snow White?
Yeah, I mean, Snow White is the girl you remember, but she's definitely made for the modern age, and there's such an emphasis on what it really means to be the fairest of them all.
In the world of show business, your reputation sticks with you, and this meltdown is poised to follow Zegler throughout her future projects and endeavors. Even though Hollywood can be forgiving, mending the damage done by openly mocking a beloved, sentimental franchise is no easy task. No matter how successful her next ventures might be, critics will always bring up the meltdown as a reminder of what happens when an actor mishandles audience sentiments, especially with a franchise as iconic as Disney's Snow White. Meanwhile, her co-stars scrambled to keep the focus off the drama. Some praised the original Snow White in interviews, carefully avoiding any direct mention of the meltdown. The once bright idea of a revival that could unite Disney fans from different eras crumbled under the weight of relentless public scrutiny and one ill-timed Instagram Live moment. Even when people tried to put a positive spin on the film's reputation, their efforts were quickly swallowed up by an avalanche of memes, critiques, and analytical think pieces, all fixated on Zegler's infamous rant. All in all, the meltdown sparked a major conversation about the risks of being too bold when reimagining beloved classics. The film had grand ambitions to turn a fairy tale into something vividly modern, but the meltdown revealed just how high the stakes are when an actor openly rails against the key themes that made the original so special. Even viewers who usually celebrate progressive updates to classic narratives drew the line at outright scorn of the cherished elements, and this aggressive approach cost the film dearly. When the final box office numbers confirmed the film as a massive financial flop, the meltdown took on an almost legendary status, dominating post-release discussions. Instead of being remembered as merely another expensive misfire, this Snow White adaptation became inseparable from the image of Zegler's social media slip-up, a cautionary tale in modern Hollywood. Reflecting on the incident, someone might recall, "Let's break it down. There's no prince. Woman doesn't really need a prince, you know. Good luck with that." Back then, the meltdown became such a potent visual and verbal embodiment of that generational and cultural chasm that no formal statement or carefully crafted press release could ever encapsulate its full impact. In the following weeks, much of the conversation inevitably shifted to what this debacle meant for Zegler's personal career. Insiders speculated that the widespread controversy could make major studios think twice before ever collaborating with her again, given the heavy baggage associated with her meltdown. Others believed that, over time, she might find a way to bounce back, especially if she approached future projects with a more tactful nod toward cherished source material. Yet the most enduring impression was that she displayed no inclination to compromise her stance on the original story, even as mounting outrage swelled around her. While passion can sometimes attract admiration, the relentless force of her criticisms and her dismissive attitude toward the iconic heritage of Snow White left an undeniably bitter taste. Ironic quips began flooding social media, with users sarcastically thanking Zegler for saving them from the expense of a film that, in their eyes, completely misinterpreted what made the original so magical. After all, the classic never needed a prince to come to the rescue, nor should it be surrounded by an entourage of 7 bizarre characters, or, as some joked, just CGI goblins. To these critics, The Meltdown was a stark testament to the film's overall disdain for time-honored storytelling, and any glimmer of curiosity was snuffed out long before opening night even arrived. Looking at the broader perspective, The Meltdown shone a harsh light on the fragility of nostalgia within popular culture. Snow White is inextricably intertwined with countless childhood memories, and attempts to modernize such a legacy can only succeed if they honor those nostalgic roots, even when making necessary updates to reflect contemporary values. But when modernization veers into what feels like condescension, audiences are quick to respond with outright rejection. Zegler's Meltdown, raw, unfiltered, and scorching in its disdain, exemplified just how swiftly a project can unravel if it appears to sneer at a cherished past. And I understand, there is a fine line between offering a fresh perspective and simply bad-mouthing the very foundation of a beloved cinematic canon. It often feels as though the opportunity to pay homage with respect was squandered. Looking at the bigger picture, even as the film's commercial disasters may eventually fade into the background, The Meltdown is set to live on in entertainment lore. Every time a celebrity butts heads with a cherished property and risks alienating nostalgic fans, this incident is brought up as a stark warning. What could have been seen as a typical flop, with poor box office returns, an overblown budget, and underwhelming reviews, morphed into a moral lesson on the dangers of disregarding the deep-seated sentimental attachments audiences have for classic stories. For studios, it's a reminder that the more revered a piece of material is, the more carefully it must be handled, both in terms of altering its core essence and in letting its cast speak in ways that might seem dismissive. A key lesson from The Meltdown is just how powerful audience sentiment can be. Nostalgia isn't just a buzzword, it's the lifeblood of classic tales, and the best remakes know how to honor that feeling with a delicate touch. Zegler's explosive outburst underscored the heavy price of dismissing the legacy behind these beloved films, as countless moviegoers ultimately walked away, convinced that the new approach disrespected everything they loved about Snow White. In this light, The Meltdown became the defining moment of an already troubled production, a raw, public exhibition of dissent that likely played a huge part in the film's dramatic financial downfall. When you look at all that went down, it's clear that no amount of marketing can save a remake if the audience feels disrespected at its core. The entire debacle encapsulated the struggles studios face when trying to update classic properties without belittling their origins. As the industry moves forward, the saga of Rachel Zegler's Instagram Live tirade stands out as a vivid reminder of how quickly one moment of unrestrained frustration can derail a much-anticipated release, leaving in its wake a trail of viral memes, relentless headlines, and staggering revenue losses.